The first time the HOA came to my ranch, I knew trouble had found me. I had moved out of the city for peace. I wanted wide open skies, the smell of earth after rain, and a place where my dogs could run without anyone complaining. My ranch wasn't fancy, just a modest home, a couple of barns, and a big, heavy-duty steel gate at the front. That gate was my pride. I had welded it myself, reinforced with iron beams so strong a truck couldn't ram through without serious damage. But to the HOA, it was an eyesore. The president, Margaret, everyone in the neighborhood just called her HOA Karen, stood in front of my gate the first day, clipboard in hand, eyes squinting like she was measuring me up for punishment. "This gate is unacceptable," she said, tapping her pen against her papers. "It doesn't match the aesthetic of our community. You'll need to replace it immediately with something approved." I leaned against the gate, arms crossed. This is a ranch, my property, my rules, and my gate stays. Her lips tightened. "If you don't comply, the HOA will fine you." Every single day I laughed, maybe a little too hard. Fine away. My gate isn't moving. That was the first battle line drawn. Over the next few weeks, they didn't stop. Letters, warnings, threats. Every morning I'd find some new notice stuffed in my mailbox, stamped with red ink, non-compliant, immediate action required. They even sent someone to inspect my property. A man in a neon vest with a tape measure, walking around like he owned the place. My dogs barked until he left, but not before writing down who knows what about my violations. But the gate was the heart of it. They hated it. Margaret especially. One evening as the sun dipped low, I saw her again, this time with two HOA board members. They stood just outside the ranch fence, glaring at my gate as if staring could make it crumble. "This gate will come down," I overheard Margaret hiss. One way or another. The turning point came a week later. It was late, close to midnight. My dogs started barking like mad. I grabbed a flashlight and stepped out onto the porch. Dust swirled in the headlights of a black SUV parked near the gate. Inside, I saw Margaret, the HOA president, sitting in the driver's seat, lips curled into a determined sneer. And then, unbelievably, she drove forward. The engine roared as the SUV crept closer, pressing against the gate. The steel groaned, chains rattling. For a second, I thought maybe she'd actually break through, but then, clang! The gate didn't budge. Instead, it bent her hood like it was made of tin foil. The SUV's bumper cracked, headlights splintering. She hit reverse, tried again, this time harder. The gate slammed back into place with a deafening boom, and her SUV crumpled like paper. Smoke hissed from under the hood. The front end was destroyed. The mighty HOA president had lost to a hunk of steel. I stood frozen, flashlight in hand, heart pounding. Margaret stumbled out of the SUV, furious, pointing a shaking finger at me. You'll pay for this. This is destruction of HOA property. You'll regret ever moving here." I couldn't help it. I laughed, loud and long. "Your car hit my gate. My gate won." Her eyes narrowed, full of hate. She didn't call for help, didn't even look at the wreckage. She just stormed off into the night, leaving her totaled SUV behind, tires still smoking. But in that moment, I knew something. This wasn't over. The HOA had just declared war. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat by the window, shotgun across my lap, staring out at the moonlit gate. The strongest thing I'd ever built had just saved me, but also signed me up for a fight I wasn't sure I wanted. And somewhere deep down, I had a chilling thought. If Margaret was crazy enough to ram her own car into my gate, what else would she try? The war with the HOA had only begun. The morning after the crash, the wrecked SUV was still wedged against my gate. Neighbors gathered, whispering and pointing. Some laughed. Some looked nervous. But Margaret didn't show her face. Instead, two men in pressed shirts came to my door with papers in hand. "Legal notice from the HOA," one said flatly. "You're being fined for damages and obstruction of community property." I took the papers, skimmed them, then looked up. Funny, Your president's SUV destroyed itself on my gate. That sounds like her problem, not mine. The man frowned. The board sees it differently. Remove the gate, or this goes to court. I shut the door in their faces. That week was relentless. Every day, a new fine. My mailbox stuffed with threats. Then came the smear campaign. Flyers appeared around the neighborhood calling me dangerous and non-compliant. One evening, I caught Margaret herself standing near my fence, whispering with neighbors. When I stepped out, she shouted, "This man thinks he's above the law. He puts us all in danger with his fortress gate." I pointed at the still bent SUV parked by the road. "Danger? Looks like my gate keeps you out just fine." The crowd laughed nervously and Margaret's face went red. That night, I knew she'd double down, and she did. At 2 a.m., my security cameras caught it. Two men in hoodies with bolt cutters, trying to snap the chains off my gate. They worked fast, whispering to each other. But when they tried to pry the gate open, bang! One hinge snapped back with full force, knocking one man flat. The other panicked and ran, dragging his friend away into the dark. I downloaded the footage, saved it to multiple drives. Proof. The HOA wasn't just playing dirty. They were breaking the law. And I was ready to fight back. The next morning, I went straight to the sheriff's office with the footage. He leaned back in his chair, chewing on a toothpick as he watched. When the video ended, he sighed. Looks like attempted trespass, maybe vandalism. But if they didn't steal or succeed in breaking anything, charges won't stick easy. I slammed my fist on the desk. They're trying to destroy my property. That gate isn't just metal. It's my line of defense. The sheriff raised an eyebrow. Son, you've got the right to protect your land. But the HOA is powerful around here. They donate. They've got lawyers. You don't? I stared him down. So what? You telling me they can get away with anything because they've got money? He didn't answer, just handed me back the flash drive. Careful who you pick fights with. Margaret's meaner than a rattlesnake, and she always strikes twice. I left his office burning with anger, but more determined than ever. If the law wouldn't protect me, I'd protect myself. That night, I reinforced the gate even further. Welded steel plates, double chains, floodlights set up to shine like daylight if anyone came close. Neighbors slowed as they drove by, some giving me thumbs up, others shaking their heads. The ranch was starting to look like a fortress, and I didn't care. Margaret wasn't going to win, but the war wasn't done escalating. 2 nights later, I woke to flashing red and blue lights outside, police cruisers, sirens off, but lights spinning. I stepped onto my porch, shotgun in hand. "Step away from the weapon," an officer shouted. I lowered it but kept my stance. "What's the problem, officer?" "HOA complaint," the cop said. "They claim your gate is illegal, that it poses a safety hazard." I laughed bitterly. "Illegal? Show me the law." The officer shifted uncomfortably. "We'll need to take this up in court. But until then, you're ordered to keep the gate open." I shook my head. "Not happening." "You want my gate open? You'll have to drag me off this land." For a long moment, the officer stared at me, then at the gate, then back again. Finally, they left. But I knew Margaret had just played her biggest card yet. She had the cops on speed dial. And if she'd gone that far, what would be next? Days passed in tense silence. The HOA stopped sending papers. No new fines, no cops, no goons with bolt cutters. It felt wrong. Too quiet. One afternoon, I spotted Margaret driving a rental car. She slowed near my ranch, rolled down her window, and smirked. Not a word. Just that smirk. Then she drove off. My gut tightened. Something was coming. That night, I didn't sleep. Around midnight, my floodlights kicked on. Movement at the gate. But this time, it wasn't hooded men. It was a tow truck. The driver backed up, hooked his chains onto my gate, and started pulling. I grabbed my phone, recording everything as I shouted, "Hey! That's private property!" The driver ignored me, engine roaring, tires digging into the dirt. The gate shook, but it didn't break. The tow truck strained harder until suddenly the chains snapped. The truck lurched forward and the driver lost control. The truck smashed straight into Margaret's new car parked behind it. The sound of crunching metal echoed across the ranch. I couldn't believe it. Margaret had been there, hiding in the shadows, watching. Now she screamed, running toward the wreckage. My car! My brand new car! I kept the camera rolling, narrating out loud. Caught on video. HOA destruction attempt number 3. And look who just lost another car. Her face twisted with rage when she saw me filming. You'll regret this. You'll regret everything. But this time, I wasn't scared. I had proof. Solid, undeniable evidence. And I knew exactly what to do next. The next morning, I uploaded everything. The SUV wreck, the bolt cutter break-in, the cops at my gate, the tow truck disaster. I didn't just send it to the sheriff. I sent it to local news, online forums, social media groups. Within hours, the story spread like wildfire. HOA, President destroys cars on Rancher's Gate. Caught on camera, HOA, harassment gone too far. The internet loved it. My gate became famous. Memes popped up calling it the Gate of Justice. By evening, reporters camped outside my ranch. Drones buzzed overhead, filming the legendary gate. The HOA tried damage control. Margaret even gave a shaky interview, blaming me for community unrest. But when the anchor asked about her 2 wrecked cars, she had no answer. Days later, the sheriff himself came to see me. This time, he wasn't chewing a toothpick. He looked serious. Margaret's under investigation. Fraud. Harassment. Property damage. With this much evidence, the board won't survive. HOA's finished. I just nodded, staring at the gate. My gate. Weeks later, the HOA officially dissolved. Margaret vanished. Rumor had it she moved states to escape the embarrassment. Neighbors started visiting me one by one, offering apologies. Some brought pies, others just wanted to shake my hand. You stood up to them when no one else could, they said. I didn't care about the praise. I cared about peace. And at last, with the HOA gone, the ranch was finally quiet. Every evening I sit on my porch, dogs at my feet, watching the sun sink behind the steel bars of the gate. The gate they mocked. The gate they tried to destroy. The gate that destroyed them instead. The war was over, and I had won.